Here is a quick podcast on desert environments, looking at where they're found, an explanation of the climate, as well as looking at some of the adaptations of plants and animals in that desert environment. These are the tropical deserts of the world. They are located around the tropics, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. There's seen kind of two bands across there. There are some anomalies here. There's one there, the Gobi Desert up in Asia. But the tropical deserts are located along the lines of the tropics. They are not on the equator. And this is the reason why this is the Hadley cell, and we know that within the Hadley cell the air at the equator rises up, and as air rises it cools and condenses to form these clouds, and it rains, which is why we find rainforests on the equator. But where the air is sinking down, this is what's called a high pressure, and the high pressure is along the tropics there. And where there's a high pressure, the air is sinking, and as the air sinks it doesn't form clouds, and that means that it is dry. Also, if there are no clouds, then the sun's rays hit directly onto the surface of the land, which is why deserts are hot, because they are at a low latitude. This is another reason why deserts are dry. We can see that air comes across the ocean, evaporating, and then it's forced to rise, cool and condense as it goes over the mountains. And then the other side of the mountain we have the rain shadow. All of the rain has fallen on the mountain as the air rises, cools and condenses, and so this side we have the rain shadow, another reason for a desert to occur. This is very similar to the Gobi Desert in Asia after air rises over the Himalayas. So plants and animals have had to adapt themselves to live in these environments. We have the cactus, and we know that it has very wide and shallow roots, so that when it does start to rain it's able to absorb the water very, very quickly. The trunk of the cactus can expand as well, and so it stores water for times of drought. And also we know, of course, the cactus has lots of little thorns on it that stop predators eating it to conserve its water supply. On the right here, this is the fennec fox. Now the fennec fox has got a couple of adaptations. Very large ears, that's the noticeable thing, very large ears to radiate heat away from its body to help it stay cool. It also lives underground in burrows. You can see one burrow there, and it hides in these during the day and the most heat of the day, the highest heat of the day. This is desertification, and we know desertification has happened in the Sahel region, which is just the south of the Sahara Desert. And desertification is where deserts are becoming larger. They are encroaching on areas that weren't once deserts, so the desert is getting larger. And there are a couple of reasons for this. Nomadic tribes grazing their cattle, as population growth in these LEDCs is high due to a high birth rate, more and more food is needed. And so people will take their cows to find the grass will get eaten, and then the soil is likely to blow away and all the nutrients go with it. Another reason is the collection of firewood or fuel wood, so any kind of trees, they're taken away and the wood is used to burn for fuel, for heating, for cooking. And again, this takes away the roots of the trees, and so if there are no roots underneath the trees, then the soil is not held together, and the wind can then blow the soil away, and this decreases fertility of the soil. Finally, humans may overcultivate the land, so there's not a lot of nutrients in the soil to start with, but the more that it is cultivated, the more the nutrients are used up, then the soil becomes much more loose. There are less organic matter to hold it together, and again the soil can start to blow away, losing the vegetation. This results in a few different impacts. Quite clearly, humans lose food. There is a lack of food supply, which can lead to famine and big social impacts of death, of course. Environmentally, the deserts get much larger. You can see here this would have been an area of trees and forests, but the deserts have got bigger and bigger. That's what this desertification is. One of the impacts of people losing food, as discussed in this photo, is that people end up moving. They move away from the rural areas to the cities in search of food. So the pull factor of food, the push factor of no food, and people move into the cities. This puts a big strain on the cities. More people looking for housing, jobs, employment, money, healthcare. And of course, culturally, it means that the nomadic way of life in the rural areas starts to be lost.